If I walked into your home today, I could probably tell you within a few minutes how peaceful your mind has felt this month. That sounds like a strange trick, but it is one of the oldest pieces of wisdom in Japan. The home and the mind are mirrors of each other. A crowded room makes a crowded head. A calm room makes a calm head. And the most surprising part is that the doorway between them swings both ways, which means you can change the inside of your mind by changing the inside of your home. My grandfather Teiichi lived in a small wooden house here in Nagoya, and I have spent my whole life trying to describe the feeling of stepping into it. There was almost nothing in it, and yet it never once felt empty. It felt full of air and light and ease, the way a temple feels or a forest clearing. As a boy, I thought my grandfather was simply poor. As a man, I finally understood that his home looked that way on purpose, and that it was kept that way by a handful of small daily habits, so small that he never once called them habits. He just called them living. Today, I want to give you 7 of those habits. None of them require you to throw away everything you own this weekend. None of them ask you to become a monk. They are simple things done daily that slowly and gently turn a heavy home into a light one. Stay with me until the end, yes, my friend, because the 7th habit is the one my grandfather said mattered more than all the others put together. 1. Let things leave Te-banasu. The Japanese have a gentle word for letting go of possessions. Te-banasu. It is written with the characters for hand and for release, and it literally means to open the hand and let something go free. I love this word because of what it does not say. It does not say discard. It does not say throw away. It says release, the way you would release a bird that has been resting in your palm. This matters because most of us hold our belongings with a closed fist. We keep things out of guilt because they were gifts. We keep things out of fear because we might need them someday. We keep things out of habit because they have simply always been there, like furniture in the corner of our lives. And every one of those objects, whether we notice it or not, asks something of us. It asks to be cleaned, stored, moved, organized, and seen. 1,000 small askings every single day. So here is the first habit. Each day, let one thing leave your home. Just one. An old receipt, a shirt you have not worn in 2 years, a mug from the back of the cupboard. Hold it for a moment, thank it if you wish, the way many Japanese people genuinely do, and then open your hand. My grandfather did this so naturally that I never saw a pile build up anywhere in his house. He told me once, Hiroto, the house is like a pond. If water only flows in and never flows out, it does not become rich. It becomes stagnant. Let things leave and the whole house begins to breathe. 2. Give everything one home, Teiichi. In Japanese workplaces and households, there is a principle called Teiichi, which means the fixed position, the one proper place where a thing lives. The scissors have a home, the keys have a home, the pen has a home. And the rule that follows is beautifully simple. When you finish using something, it goes back to its home every time, immediately, without discussion. Here is why this small rule changes everything. Clutter is rarely created in a single dramatic moment. Clutter is created one small postponement at a time. The jacket placed on the chair instead of the hook. The letter set on the counter instead of the drawer. Each postponement takes 2 seconds, and each one feels like nothing, and together they slowly bury a home. The mess you clean every weekend is simply a mountain built from hundreds of tiny 2-second delays. So the second habit is this: give every object you own one fixed home and return it there the moment you finish with it. If something has no home, that is usually the house telling you it does not truly belong there at all. My grandfather could find anything in his house in complete darkness because everything had lived in the same place for 40 years. He used to say that a thing without a home becomes a wanderer, and a house full of wanderers can never be at peace. 3. Reset the room before you sleep. Risetto. In many Japanese homes, there is a small evening ritual that has no ceremony to it at all, and yet it may be the single most powerful habit on this list. Before sleeping, the family returns the main room to zero. The cushions are straightened, the table is cleared and wiped, the few stray items are returned to their homes. In modern Japanese, they often call this a risetto, a reset. Traditionally, this was simply what one did, because in older homes, the living room literally became the bedroom and the futon could not be laid down on a cluttered floor. The deeper wisdom is about mornings. The first room you see when you wake sets the tone for your entire day, the way the first note of a song sets its key. When you walk out to yesterday's dishes and yesterday's mess, you begin the day already behind, already carrying yesterday on your back. When you walk out to a clear table and an open floor, the day begins as a fresh page. The few minutes you spend at night are a gift you send forward to the person you will be tomorrow morning. So the third habit is to reset one room, just the main room, before you sleep. 5 minutes, no more. My grandfather did this every night of his life, wiping his low wooden table in slow circles as the last act of his day. I asked him once why he bothered when he was tired. He said, "Hiroto, I am not cleaning for tonight. I am cleaning for the man who wakes up tomorrow. Be kind to him. He works hard." 4. One in, one out, Ichi-nyu, Ichi-shutsu. Now we come to the gatekeeper habit, the one that protects everything the first 3 habits build. In Japan, where homes are often small and space is treated as precious, many families live by a simple, unwritten rule. When one thing comes in, one thing goes out. A new shirt enters, an old shirt leaves. A new book arrives, an old book is passed on to a friend. What this rule really does is change your relationship with buying. Most of us shop with only half the question in mind. We ask, "Do I want this?" The one in, one out rule forces the other half of the question into the light. We must also ask, "What is this replacing?" And the moment you ask that second question, something shifts. The new thing is no longer a free addition to your life. It has a cost beyond money. It must earn its place by being better than something you already own. You will be amazed how many things you put back on the shelf once you start asking what they would replace. So the fourth habit is to adopt this rule completely. One in, one out, with no exceptions. My grandfather took it even further in his later years. He would smile and say, "1 in, 2 out," and his house grew lighter every year, the way some people grow heavier. He told me that most people fight clutter at the wrong door. They fight it inside the house, sorting and organizing and rearranging. The wise fight it at the front door, where it first tries to enter. 5. Leave the surfaces empty. Yohaku no bai. There is a principle in Japanese art and design called Yohaku no bi, the beauty of empty space. In a traditional ink painting, the artist may paint a single branch in the corner and leave the rest of the paper untouched. And the untouched paper is what gives the branch its life. In the traditional Japanese room, there is often one alcove, called the tokonoma, holding a single scroll and perhaps one flower. And the rest of the wall is bare, so that this one beautiful thing can speak. Now look at the surfaces of a modern home. The kitchen counter crowded with appliances and bottles. The dining table buried under mail and chargers and keys. The shelf where 30 objects stand shoulder to shoulder so that no single one of them can be seen at all. We have filled every flat surface in our lives. And in doing so, we have silenced everything we own. When everything is displayed, nothing is displayed. So the fifth habit is to choose your surfaces and keep them empty. Begin with one, the dining table or the kitchen counter, and make it a small daily practice to return that surface to bare wood or clean stone before the day ends. Then let your eyes rest on it. You will feel the calm of it in your chest within days, I promise you. My grandfather kept every surface in his home empty except for one shelf, where a single bowl sat with space all around it like a held breath. That bowl received more genuine admiration than entire cabinets of treasures receive in other homes, because it had been given the one thing every beautiful object needs: room to be seen. 6. Care for what remains, Aiyou. There is a word in Japanese that has no clean English translation: Aiyou. It is written with the characters for love and for use, and it describes the practice of using a possession with love, of caring for it, maintaining it, and growing fonder of it over years of faithful service. A leather wallet, polished and softened by a decade of hands. A kitchen knife, sharpened so often it has slowly changed shape. A wooden chair, repaired twice and still standing. This is the habit that separates living with less from simply owning less. Anyone can throw things away. The deeper art is treating what remains so well that you never need to replace it and never want to. When you care for an object, something curious happens in the heart. The object becomes enough. The phone that is cleaned and cased and looked after does not whisper for an upgrade the way a battered, neglected one does. The shoes that are polished ask to be worn, never replaced. Care creates contentment, and contentment is the deepest form of living with less, because it ends the wanting at its root. So, the 6th habit is to spend a few minutes each week caring for something you already own. Polish the shoes, oil the cutting board, mend the small tear before it becomes a large one. My grandfather sharpened his one kitchen knife every Sunday evening, slowly, on a wet stone. And that knife served him for longer than most marriages last. He told me that things are like people, Hiroto. The ones you care for stay with you, and the ones you neglect leave you, one way or another, and then you must pay to begin again. 7. Make the home a place you return to Ibasho. And now, the 7th habit, the one my grandfather placed above all the others, and you will notice that it is not really about objects at all. The Japanese have a tender word, Ibasho, which means the place where you belong, the place where you can be fully and restfully yourself. Everyone needs an Ibasho. And my grandfather believed the great tragedy of the modern home is that we have filled it with so much stuff, so much noise, and so many glowing screens that it has stopped being our Ibasho and become just another place that demands things from us. So the 7th habit is this: once a day, sit in your home and do nothing but be there. 10 minutes. Make a cup of tea, sit by the window or on the floor, and let the home simply hold you. No phone in the hand, no show on the screen, no tidying, no list, just you. Inside the space, you have been gently clearing with the first 6 habits, finally enjoying what all that clearing was for. Because this is the secret that almost every video about minimalism forgets to mention. The empty shelf was never the goal. The clear table was never the goal. They are only the frame. The picture inside the frame is your own life, finally given room to breathe. We do not live with less to admire the emptiness. We live with less so that the people and the moments and the small bowls of tea that remain can finally be felt at full strength. In the evenings, my grandfather would sit on the worn wooden step of his veranda with his tea, looking at his tiny garden, and the whole house seemed to sit there with him, resting. I once asked him, in the careless way of the young, whether he ever got bored living so simply. He was silent for a moment, and then he said, "Hiroto, I spent the first half of my life filling the house, and the second half emptying it, and I can tell you that the emptying was the only part that ever made me happy. Now there is nothing left in this house except room for my life. What could be boring about that?" So there they are, my friend. 7 small habits for a lighter home and a lighter mind. You let one thing leave each day. You give everything that stays a single home. You reset the room before you sleep. You guard the front door with one in, one out. You leave your surfaces empty so the few beautiful things can speak. You care for what remains until it becomes enough. And once a day, you sit inside it all and let your home become your Ibasho, the place where you belong. Do not try to begin all 7 tomorrow. That is the way of the New Year resolution, and we both know where that road ends. Choose one, the easiest one, the one that made you nod while I described it. Do it for a week until it stops feeling like effort, and then gently pick up the next. A home is not transformed in a weekend. It is transformed the same way it became cluttered in the first place. One small daily act at a time, except now the acts are flowing in the other direction. And one morning, sooner than you think, you will walk out into your main room with your tea, and the table will be clear, and the light will be falling across an empty surface, and the whole space will feel like it is breathing slowly. You will stand there and realize that the room feels different because you feel different, and that you feel different because the room does, and that you can no longer tell where one ends and the other begins. That is the old Japanese secret in full. The home and the mind are mirrors. Polish one, and the other begins to shine. Take good care of yourself. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.